Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web series Beyond the Void. If you are new to this series, there is a playlist listed in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 2. Gauche Point of View. When the humans took over the military following the infamous Nova War, they moved our commanding facility off-world, switching the location every half cycle. Their stated reasoning was to avoid something called a decapitation strike, whatever that meant. At the present time, we were stationed on an asteroid in an unoccupied system. The living facilities were fully enclosed in a dome to render the air breathable. Throw in the help of artificial gravity, and you could forget that you weren't on a proper planet. The Federation's computer technicians started dissecting the data as soon as we arrived at military headquarters. Jofi and I remained in the room while waiting for the techs to finish the analysis, in case they needed to ask us any further questions. We had already endured a thorough interrogation, which was conducted by a panel of officers. As far as I was concerned, there wasn't anything left to tell. I was relieved that we would get to listen to the initial findings and hopefully receive some answers. Nothing about this fit together. For one thing, it struck me as odd that none of those present were humans, given that it was their ship we discovered. It seemed that I wasn't alone in noticing that fact. General Blez of the Jutari Confederacy was growing increasingly irritated at the Terran's absence, as evidenced by his stiff body language. Sir, Gallo, a young Hodal analyst, spoke up with hesitancy. Undoubtedly, he noticed his superior's ill-tempered demeanor too. We finished a file restoration and created a summary of our findings. I hope you'll be satisfied with our performance. The Jutari General and Tenai nodded together with a nod. Yes, you've done your job. But tell me, where are the damned Hewitt's? I don't know. They said that they're standing someone, Qualla replied. General Blaze glowered at the technician. It's been several hours. What could possibly be the delay? I asked them the same thing, sir. They said that they're sending someone from Earth, and they needed to pull him out of a meeting. Quello, how many humans are on this fucking base? Approximately 15,000, sir. Why can't they send one of them? Because I believe you're looking for me. A gravelly voice answered from the back of the room. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. A chill ran down my spine as I turned towards the newcomer and found myself face to face with a dead man. It was General Rykov, leader of the Federation's military, in the flesh. The same human whose corpse I dragged across the bloody floor this very morning. His cheek was unblemished by the scar I'd seen earlier, and his eyes were still intact. A squeal escaped my throat, and acting on impulse, I dove under the table to hide. Sure, my response wasn't exactly befitting of a soldier, but it wasn't every day that we witnessed a resurrection. This couldn't be happening. This had to be a nightmare that I would wake up from, and then I would laugh at it absurdly. Even the cantankerous General Blaze seemed dumbfounded. You're dead? Honestly, I've gotten about 15 calls asking if I'm all right, and it's getting old. Rykov flopped down on a chair, kicking his feet up on the table. Whoever you found, it wasn't me. I clawed my way from my hiding spot, trying to calm myself. There hadn't been a doubt in my mind on the deceased's identity, but maybe I'd made a mistake. Trauma could do strange things to people's minds after all. Are you sure? Kello asked, voice fraught with terror. The technician displayed an image on the projector, which was taken by Federation investigators. The blood drained from Rykov's face as he locked eyes with his own mangled corpse. It was unmistakably his visage on screen. The human sprang from his seat, shaking his head. The poor guy looked like he was about to have a panic attack. And honestly, I couldn't blame him. If someone showed me my dead body, with blood streaming from my orifices, I'd be freaked out too. Rykov took a deep breath, running a hand through his silky brown hair. Okay, tell me everything. Gallo hesitated. Well, most of the files were corrupted beyond repair. We were only able to salvage a small snippet of a log entry. One clip, that's it, the human growled. I'm sorry, sir. Believe me, I wish I had more to go on, but we might well take a look. The Hodal technician switched to the video, which was overlaid by a dreadful crackling sound. The picture was muted, like the lens was fogged up. Its words were distorted almost beyond recognition, and were unintelligible in several instances. But I recognized the face and the voice of the human general, and he seemed furious. "We're all screwed if, what was stolen? Home! We're in pursuit of the cargo freighter Pisces, before the bastard The tape faded to darkness, leaving us to consider what had occurred. My interpretation was that this Pisces ship was transporting some stolen goods, and the Terrans were trying to track them down. Perhaps that would be a good lead to start with. General Rykov frowned as it had deepened. "Do you have a timestamp on that log?"
"Pardon, in human time, it says 5:43 p.m.,
Quello answered. "No, the date."
"Stardate. That must be wrong. It says 13.152.
"Which is 5 days from now." "I see." This entire ordeal was making my head hurt. Did the evidence actually suggest that this doomed vessel was from the future? It sounded preposterous, but then again, so did a man coming back from the dead. The Terrans did love to meddle with things that were beyond their control. Maybe this time, it had finally caught up with him. "You guys can time travel." The words slipped out of my mouth before I could stop them. "Since when?" Rykov sighed. "I don't think we've done it yet. I know of one project, but it's in its infancy. There were no plans for an actual test yet." This project? Talk. Thing is, humans have made some mistakes we'd like to correct. Mistakes was a generous word, and I knew he meant the genocide that had committed during the war. Some in our government are believers in the multiverse theory. They were building a gate to another reality. Whether that's by finding a parallel timeline or creating a cosmic undo button, they don't care. Les fixed the human with an irate look. "Of course, your kind all thought punching a hole to another dimension was a great idea. What could go wrong? It is a great idea. Look, if you can go beyond the flow of time and space as we know it, you can change history. You always have a way to turn back the clocks, or a new realm to run to when the shit hits the fan. Ultimately, the lessons we learned today is it works." I gawked at Rykov, unable to believe the words I was hearing. "You're supposed to die in 5 days, give or take, and you're chalking this up as a win." "Two possibilities exist. Either the timeline is fixed and trying to change it is futile, or the events can be changed. In that case, I'll just steer clear of any portals and we'll prevent the whole thing." "Prevent it?" Les repeated. "How can we help?" "I say we track down the Pisces. As good a place as any to start." The human clasped his hands behind his back, surveying the room. His gaze locked with mine for a moment, and he offered a slight smile. "This is going to be dangerous, I won't lie. If any of you want out, now is the chance to leave. I'll understand." I shot a glance at Jofi, who, like most in the room, had remained silent throughout the proceedings. There was a wordless exchange that passed between us. Her eyes narrowed as she realized I intended to stay. If it was possible to prevent the atrocious disaster, I had to be involved. Putting our awful discovery out of mind and returning to business as normal seemed impossible. If I didn't take action, the memories would consume my every thought. No creature deserved such a gruesome fate. Certainly not for the crime, but curiosity. Despite her disapproval, I knew that Jofi would stick with me to the end. We were in this together. None of the individuals present for the briefing budged. General Rykov seemed heartened by the support and gave an appreciative nod. "All right then, let's get to work." End of chapter. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just quickly want to thank the Tier 5 patrons and channel members: Alithia Barkey, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Albarden Guster, Arcadian, Lord Azrakal, and Joachim Backer.